The purpose of the new school jump is trying to get to 13 feet with momentum. When we take our standard lead, just a traditional lead, we are at 13 feet with our right foot. Some guys maybe slightly past 13, maybe more center of their body, but either way, we are trying to start our jump, whether we are in a traditional jump or in a new school jump from about the 13-foot mark. The new school jump is a way to give us momentum at that 13-foot mark. And when to use the new school jump, there's some different situations. Maybe where there's a righty on the mound that's a 1-2 to the plate, 1-2-5 to the plate, and we just don't feel comfortable just going traditional lead and running. And so we need to create some momentum at our 13-foot mark to give us our best jump. But in order to do a new school jump, the pitcher's pickoff must be average to below average. If he is a 1-2 to the plate and he's a 1-1 or a 105 pick, then we got a chance. Like we're not as concerned about it. Now, if he's a .90 pick, then the new school jump is not an option for us. We are just traditional. We have a traditional lead at that point. Maybe you have a very average runner. Maybe he is a guy that isn't just, a burner or anything, and he needs a little bit of help to be able to steal some bases. So a new school jump could be really good for him. Or maybe we're facing a left-handed pitcher. Maybe you can or cannot read his pickoff early enough. You can use a new school jump in both situations. And it's the situation where you just don't really want to gamble on going first move because he is picking, enough to keep you honest. So, what is really a new school jump? Like as we start to get our lead, it's a 6 to 7 foot lead. Like I said, 13 foot's our traditional. We get 6 to 7 feet. Our footwork is we are going to line up from the back corner of first base, and we're going to get in line with the back corner of second base. So we're going to take our lead from back corner to back corner, and we're going to take a small right step off the base, left foot, and we're going to square. So we're just going to be standing there, kind of in a neutral position. We're going to be a little bit more upright. We're not going to have a wider base or anything. We're going to be shoulder width apart, and we're just going to kind of be loose standing there. And what does that look like? Kind of like this. Volpe's really good at it. We probably teach our guys to be a little bit more narrow, a little bit more upright, a little bit more relaxed, but you can see the distance from the base is not very far at all. So, if um, when we do our shuffle, and I'll kind of show some more examples of that, but I'm kind of covering some of the basics of it first. When we do this, we are trying to start the rhythm of the shuffle with a jab with the right foot first, and then we shuffle and skim the ground to create that momentum. When we do this, we want to keep our feet apart and we want to skim the top of the ground, like I said, because there will be plenty of times where there will be a pick to first base while we are in our shuffle. The higher off the ground that I am, the further I have to go to get my foot in the ground to be able to push back to return to first base. So I want to remain as close to that ground as I can as I shuffle so that if he picks and I'm mid shuffle, I can get my right foot in the ground and I can return back to the base diving. Um, and when I'm doing my shuffle, you have to remain in a neutral position. You can't overcommit to second base. If you overcommit to second base, it makes it more difficult to be able to return. So I have to remain neutral. So it's a right foot kind of starts a little right jab with my foot starts to shuffle. I shuffle, keep my feet from crossing over or clicking. I keep them a little bit separate, and I remain close to the ground. So that's what it looks like. I'll play it one more time. Right foot jab, shuffle, skim the ground. And we try to keep our feet a little bit further apart than that, just so that we can remain athletic. And I'm trying to land my right foot at 13 feet, timing the jump. So now I'm at 13 feet with momentum. So the timing of it, when to start your shuffle. If you're facing a right-handed pitcher that maybe doesn't have any tendencies, that's changing his rhythms, there's no, he's not really telling us anything. There's no tells with him. It's really a guess and an anticipation when to start. So I'm trying to set myself up to go early so that my right foot at the 13-foot mark is landing when he goes to lift his leg. Now, if there is a tendency with him, and maybe he's a guy that takes a deep breath, then delivers the pitch. Maybe he's a head bob guy, he's up, or maybe it's the same timing, and a lot of people use the UCLA. He comes set, you see, deliver. Come set, you see, deliver. Those are all things that we really pay close attention to. Then at that point, I'm trying to time up my I'm trying to time up my rhythm, my shuffle, so that my right foot is landing again when he lifts his leg, but I'm using the tail that he has, the tendency that he has to show me when to start it. The timing versus a left-handed pitcher. Now, the leg lift for a left-handed pitcher, if we don't have any type of read or tell or anything to be able to tell us when he's picking or pitching, if there's no tendency there, the height of the leg lift determines when we start our shuffle. If he's a high leg lift guy, he goes all the way up to the top. We're going to see his front leg, his front foot all come off the ground. So if we go right when that first move, that foot comes off the ground, our right foot's going to be landing right about the time that he's at the top of his leg lift going towards the plate. If he's a mid leg lift, kind of like an average, not too high, not too low, then I'm going to try to time it right at the first move. So high leg lift, right when I see that foot come off the ground, maybe a mid leg lift, I'm going to try to time it right when that foot comes up off the ground. And then a low leg lift. Now I have to treat him as like a right-handed pitcher. It has to be a guess. It has to be an anticipation to be able to time it up correctly. If it is a read guy, maybe he has something where he is showing us when he is picking and when he is pitching. Then at that point, number one, the leg lifts are going to help me determine my timing, but I'm going to be reading my read as I'm shuffling. And some things that we pay attention to are really the gap between his legs. It's really common for pitchers to take their front knee towards their back hip when they're going towards the plate, and then maybe that front knee goes more straight up when they're picking because they don't really want to cross over with that. Maybe he's a guy that starts leaning towards first base. Maybe he stays more upright. Maybe he doesn't load as much. And then another common one is the back toe. Um, the back toe is one that seems to be more and more common to where if a pitcher is picking, then at that point maybe that toe goes into the ground. If he's pitching, maybe that back toe is the toe on the rubber, maybe that back toe lifts up on the plate because as he loads on his leg lift, if he's going to push forward to walk it out, then his weight's going to be more on that toe. If he's loading to go towards the plate, his weight's going to maybe more in his posterior chain and his heel, and that toe comes up. So those are all things that we pay attention to. So again, 6 to 7 foot lead, kind of relaxed in a neutral position, right foot jab, and he's timing it just so his right foot's landing at 13 feet with momentum. And it's a guess and an anticipation when to start. See, the pitcher's done nothing, but he is already starting. And honestly, maybe a tick late with that, but he still went with it and liked his jump. Ideally, we want to be landing our right foot somewhere right about here. somewhere right about here with that first move now that we know he's not picking.